Question 1 in the exam review, find the amplitude, and we'll just put the question in here, y equals -2 sine 3x, and we know the amplitude comes from this number here, but we've got to be careful because it's not a -2, it's going to be the positive value of this, so the amplitude here equals 2. Alright, nice easy question to start off. Question 2, find the period. Let's put that in, so y equals 6 sine 6x, and we know that period equals 360 divided by b, and b is this value here, so that is b. So therefore the period equals 360 over 6, which equals 60. It's actually 60 degrees, the period. That's the answer. Question 3, let's move it on. Find the vertical shift. So we'll put question 3 up here. We've got y equals 2 sine 3 bracket x minus 45 plus 7. Well, that's where the plus 7 is where we find the vertical shift. This is the vertical shift here, right at the end. So the vertical shift will equal 7. And what we find is the vertical shift is as the equation is, so if it's plus 7, it's going to be up 7. If it's minus 7, it'd be down 7. And the horizontal shift, which will be the next question, I believe, works in opposite. So we're going to do that next. So question 4, find the horizontal shift. 2 sine 3 bracket x minus 90 plus 6. And the horizontal shift we find in here. So this is the horizontal shift in here. I mean, this would be the vertical shift here of up 6, but we're trying to find the horizontal shift. And it acts opposite, so minus 90 would equate to right 90. It's actually 90 degrees right. If it was a plus, then it goes to the left, and it's a minus, it goes to the right. All right, just something to remember. And of course, vertical shift is plus means up, and minus means down. Just something to remember. Question 5 moves on to powers. So we've got 2 to the power 3x equals 4 to the power x plus 1. So we've got to make them both into powers of 2. Well, 2 to the 3x is already there. 4 we know is 2 squared. Sorry about the wind, but I'm doing this outside, of course. And what do we do now? Well, we know that this stays the same. This we've got to multiply, so 2 times x plus 1. So 2 to the 3x equals 2. Now 2 times x plus 1 is actually 2x plus 2. The plus 2 is where everybody makes a mistake, so be careful about that. Then what we can say is that this equals this, so 3x equals 2x plus 2. Take the 2x over, subtract, and we get 1x, because 3x minus 2x is 1x, x equals 2. Question 6, and we've got 5 to the power x plus 2, don't actually need the brackets, equals 125 to the 2x. So a bit complicated because it's not powers of 2 anymore, but it is powers of 5, because we know that 5 is obviously a power of 5, and 25 is 5 to the power 3. And again, the brackets come in to the power 2x. So again, we're going to multiply here, and this one stays the same. So we get 5 to the x plus 2 equals 5 to the 6x. And then we can say that x plus 2 equals 6x. Subtract the x, we get 5x, and now x equals 2 divided by the 5, 2/5. Okay, question 7 says, if I invest $1,600 in an account that pays 5% interest compounded monthly, how much will I have after 10 years? So the formula I need is A equals P bracket 1 plus R over N to the NT. And yes, you will have formulas on the exam. So I'm trying to find A, because I'm finding out how much I'm going to have after 10 years. I know I put 1,600 in the account. 1 plus R, well what's R? R is 5%, so 0.05. It's compounded monthly, so N is 12. And then to the power, N is 12, and we know that T is 10 years. So we work that out on the calculator, and we get 2635.215. So I'll say $0.22. There you go. Question 8. How much should I invest in an account that pays 6% interest? So it's the same formula really. We're going to do it the other way around, because he wants 10,000, so that's here. So we know what A is, and we're trying to find P. So the same rules apply. What's the rate? 0.6. 6% compounded quarterly, so N is 4, and then N 4 times the time, 15 years. So it's slightly different. So basically what we're going to say is that P equals 10,000 divided by this. So if you're on your calculator, we want to start in the middle here. So basically start with this bit first, 0.06 divided by 4. Unless you've got a calculator, it does it all in one, okay? So start there and go from that. And the answer we get is that P equals $4,092. It says 959, so 96 cents. Perfect. And question 9. Okay, I might need to spread this out. So it says angle A equals 65 degrees, A equals 15, and angle B equals 23 degrees. So basically we've got a formula like this. They give you the formula there. There's your triangle. A, we know, is 65. B, we know, is 23. And we know that side A over here is 15. So the formula says A over sine A equals B over sine B. And that's all we need really. So A is 15 over sine 65 equals B is what we're trying to find. We're trying to find B here over sine 23. So we bring the sine 23 up here and multiply. That will give me 15 times sine 23 divided by sine 65. And that equals, and we get 6.4668, so 6.47, excuse me, 6.47 is the answer. So question 10, similar type of problem. We've got C equals 16, B equals 4, and angle C equals 91 degrees. That little hat is the angle sign. So we do a little diagram here. We don't have to, of course, but let's just do it anyways. 91 degrees for that. The opposite side is 16. And we're asked to find angle B, I think. And angle B is there. And we know that that is 4. So we know that 16, the formula is there, 16 over sine 91 equals 4 over sine B. So what we're going to do is actually flip both sides of fractions. So we can say sine 91 equals over 16 equals sine b over 4. So what we've done, we've actually just flipped both fractions here, and it's still equal to each other. Now I'm going to bring the 4 up here and multiply. So I know that 4 times sine 91 over 16 equals sine b. So let's work out sine b first. So sine b works out to be 0.24996. I've gone for 5 decimal places here. Because to find b, we've got to use this sine -1 or inverse sine button. And that will give us the actual angle. So we put 996 in inverse sine, and the answer we get is 14.475, so 14.48 degrees. 14.48 degrees. Great job, thanks. Question 11, we've got 60 x cubed y to the 7th over 48 x5 y4. So we do the numbers, split up 60 over 48, and then x3 over x5. So we split up letters, numbers, or letters. And we will get pretty much the same right answer. So 60 and 48, what goes into both? Well, 12 does. 12 into 60 goes 5, 12 into 48 goes 4. x3 over x5 we subtract, remember, and 5 minus 3 is 2, but it's 2 on the bottom. So what we got 5 on top, we got 4 on the bottom, and then x squared on the bottom, because 5 is bigger than 3 and 5 minus 3 is 2. In the same way, 7 minus 4 is 3, but 7's on top, so therefore y3 on top. So this question says I'm going to take $8,000 out, question 12 here, take $8,000 out as a loan for 5 years at 6% interest. So therefore, the interest I'll pay in total is going to be I equals P times R times T, which is 8,000 times 5 times 0.06. And that equals 2,400. The question's not asking for that. The question's asking what your monthly repayment. So you add your total repayment for the loan is going to be the 8,000 plus the 2,400, which equals 10,400. And you're paying that back over 5 years, so 60 months. So the monthly payment is going to be 10,400 divided by 60, which equals $173.33 per month. So right angled triangle now, we've got, this is question 13, so let's have a look, 13. So therefore, we've got that is your triangle. We've got angle A is 54, so that's 54 degrees. Side A is 11, and side B is, we don't know. Sorry, we've got to find side B. Okay, so we've got opposite and adjacent, so we know that's tangent. So we know tan 54 degrees equals 11 over B. These two can switch places. So we get that B equals 11 divided by tan 54 degrees, which equals 7.99. Okay, question, and that's the end of that. Question 14. Okay, same situation, right angled triangle. And we've got that A is 58, so 58 degrees. We've got C is 12, and we've got to find B. So that looks like this would be the opposite. So therefore it's going to be adjacent and hypotenuse. So we know that cos 58, so on this one here, cos 58 equals b over 12. And what we're going to do is take the 12 up and multiply it. So 12 times cos 58 equals b, and therefore b equals 6.359, so 6.36. Excellent. And the last question in terms of trig is question 15 here. Same thing, just draw a quick diagram out. So it tells you that angle B is up there, which is, we've got to find angle B. And we know that A is 8 and C is 10. So this is going to be cos again. So we know that cos of B equals adjacent 8 over 10. We know that's 0.8, so we know that B is going to be cos negative 1. Remember the second cos button. That's always the button when we want to find an angle of 8 over 10 or 0.8, doesn't matter. And the answer is 36.869, so 38.87 degrees. And I can't remember what it says. If it was one decimal place, it would be 38.9 degrees, but I can't remember what it says, 1 or 2 decimal places. Okay, question 16, we've got to find a slope. Let's get a new board up. This is should be quite easy stuff. 16, y equals negative 2x plus 7. And of course we're looking at y equals mx plus b, where we know m is the slope. So therefore this will be the slope. Slope equals negative 2. Okay, question 17, find the y-intercept, another fairly straightforward question. Y equals 3x plus 9. And we know that this is the y-intercept, so y-intercept equals 9. Okay. Next question, 18. For the linear equation, let's just put a new box out. We've got 18 here, y equals 4x plus 2, and it says find if y equals 4, so we substitute y equals 4, then find the value of x. Alright, so we've got to find x. So we take the 2 over, subtract, 4 minus 2 is 2, and then we divide by 4, so x equals 2 over 4, which we know is 1 over 2. That's that one done. 19, we've got to find the equation here. I'm just going to drag everything down a bit so we can actually see the graph. There you go. Alright, let's just put this in here. So what are we looking for in this graph here? 19, we've got to find the equation. We're looking for the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is up there. So we know our starting equation is mx plus b. So this will be the y-intercept 5. So when a b equals 5. M's the slope, so we've got to find the slope of this line here. So we'd find 2 points that are connected, these 2 points here. And what we notice is if we're going from this point to this point, we go down 2 and then to the right 2, so plus 2. So slope equals rise over run. And the rise is this bit here, the green bit, which is negative 2. And the run is going to be this bit here, which is plus 2. And we know that minus 2 over plus 2 is negative 1. So the slope is negative 1. Therefore, y equals m negative 1, negative 1x plus 5. We never write negative 1, so we just leave it as negative x plus 5. Alright, so we remember that slope is rise over run. Question 20, find the slope between the points negative 3, 2 and 7, 4. So we know that slope is m in the equation, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what we can do is actually go to our equation here and say this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 would be 4 minus 2, and x2 minus x1 would be 7 minus negative 3. So 4 minus 2 is 2, 7 plus 3 is 10, so we get the slope of 1 over 5. Okay, question 21 says find the equation. This is the toughest question. So we've got slope equals 2, and we know it passes through the point negative 3, 4. So we know that y equals mx plus b is what we're using because that's given. So therefore we know we start with y equals 2x plus b because we know that the slope fits into there. Now, this is the bit I ask you to write every time to find b. We sub for negative 3, 4. Now the only reason I ask you to write that is because on situations like tests you might jog your memory. Here we go anyway. So therefore we know that x is going to be negative 3 and y is I'm going to sub it into here. So therefore 4 equals 2 times negative 3 plus b. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 plus b, and the negative 6 comes over now as plus, so 10 equals b. And the final answer is y equals 2x plus 10, because we go back into here, this equation here, and we put our b value in there. Question 22, write down the value of a function. A function is a set of x and y values where all x values are different. So that is the definition of a function. If they're not different, then it's just called a relation. But for x and y values, the x values are different, all unique numbers, then it is a function. Question 23, is this a function or not? So all you've got to do is look over the x values here, and if all the x values are different, then it is a function, and as you can see, yes, it is a function, because all x values are different. Okay, question 24, if f of x equals 4x plus 3, 4x minus 3, excuse me, then find f of negative 4. So what f of negative 4 means, what's the value of this function when x equals negative 4? So all we do is substitute basically. So f of negative 4 equals 4 times negative 4 minus 3, because before we had x here. If you look at the equation, 4x minus 3, and now we take the x away and replace it with negative 4, and that gives me negative 16 minus 3, which equals negative 19. And question 25, we've got that f of x equals 2x plus 4, and g of x equals x squared minus 3, and the question says find fg of negative 2. So we always start in the middle. Whether you remember this, the middle, we do that bit first, and we find g of negative 2. So what is g of negative 2? Well, it means go to function g and replace x with negative 2. So we get negative 2, put it in a bracket because it's squared minus 3. And we know that negative 2 squared is 4, minus 3 is 1. So the bit here is 1. So the 1 now goes into f. So we worked out g of negative 2 first. which was 1, and then we replaced it into f. Now f of 1 means go to function f, and here's function f up here, and replace the x with 1. So we get 2 times 1 plus 4. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 4 equals 6. Easy stuff. So the last thing you'll need to know for the exam is parabolas. There's 5 questions on parabolas. Parabolas can be written in a couple of ways. 3x squared plus 4x plus 1 is one way, and the other way is something like this. So this is standard form. And this is vertex form. So we can find the vertex from this quite easily. Vertex equals the opposite of this value, 3, and the same as that value, 3, 4. So we've got to try and remember that. Opposite for the bit in the brackets, and the same for the bit outside the brackets. So 3, 4 is the vertex. If we wanted to find the vertex of something in standard form, slightly more complicated, we know that the x value of vertex equals negative b over 2a. And we know that the b value is here, and the a value is there. So therefore we get negative 4 over 2 times a, which is negative 4 over 6, which equals negative 2/3. Now I've actually made it more difficult for this question than I wanted to. To find the y value, you just substitute now that x value in. So we get 3 times negative 2/3 squared plus 4 times 2/3 plus 1. We'll do it together, although that it won't be this difficult on the exam. 3 negative 2/3 squared is 4/9, plus 4 times 2/3 is 8/3, plus 1. We know that 3 and 9 reduce to 3. So now we've got 4/3 plus 8/3, and then we know that 1 is 3/3. So 4, 8, 12, 15 over 3. Well, it's actually 5. It works out nicely. So the vertex for this one is negative 2/3, 5. The last thing we need to know for parabolas is domain and range. All right, so domain of a parabola is all real numbers. That's an easy bit. And then the range, we've got to look at the graph. So if the graph was like this, and the vertex was something like 4, 7, then the range of values depends on the y value here. So we've got to find the y value of the vertex, 7, and therefore we know that the range is y. Now it's all the values less than 7, isn't it? It's going down. The green line is below 7, so y less than or equal to 7. If the graph went up like this, at 4, 7, then the range, the green line is all above 7, the range would be y greater than or equal to 7. And that, my friends, is that.